I used to feel that before I had kids.
No. It's because they're gonna watch this back, and you want it to be PG friendly. You don't want Jacob and Esau in the house. You don't want Cain and Abel. You don't want all to get slain. You're diplomatic. You're a politician.
No, can I be honest with you? Honest to God, because I used to think the same thing. Like, hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Inspired with Keri. I'm so excited for our guest. He is the multi-award-winning, chart-topping Christian hip-hop artist, Faithchild. Yes, we are so excited.
Yes.
And I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. I want to go back to the beginning. Well, first, I want to thank you for being here. And secondly, I want to know, did you always know you wanted to be in the arts or do music or that whole realm? Did you always know you wanted to do that, or when did that start?
That happened by accident. So I wanted to be a firefighter when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. So yeah, and then I wanted to be an athlete. So I used to run. I used to do track, and then I studied acting. So acting was also the line I was going to go down. My mum and my stepdad started a church, and it was very youth focused. So all the things that young people liked, music, poetry, drama, etc., was what we did. So my siblings were in a Christian hip hop group, and me being the youngest of 5, I just wanted to copy them naturally. So it was via church that I got into music. Then we'll perform at our youth group. People will come and see me and my group, and then they'll then invite us. So it's kind of like word of mouth. And then many years later, the demand kept on coming in. And that's how I ended up being a musician many years later. Awesome.
And when did you know you wanted to get into hip hop specifically?
It's a blend of like hip hop, pop, electro sometimes, EDM sometimes. It's a nice mixed bag of different sounds and flavors. I enjoy all styles of music, and I think that is reflective in the music that I make. And because I travel quite a lot, I often have to be able to have music that's applicable to all different cultures and ethnicities, etc. So that's how I got into music, and I love being able to switch up my sound whenever. Okay, actually, whilst we are here, what is your favorite hot drink? Like, what is in your mug right now?
Oh, honestly, just a warm tea. Yeah, I don't drink coffee or anything like that. I just drink green tea, but because I know this sounds funny, because I know I'm going to want to take a nap later because I've been up since like 4-ish or 5-ish. I'm now just drinking some honey and lemon water. And that's literally what I drink all day. Honey, lemon water. Nice. I don't drink juice. I don't drink pop. Well, call it pop in the Midwest in America, but soda pop. I don't drink any of that. Really? Yeah. What about you?
I'm more of a herbal tea person, so like green tea and different variations of that. I recently tried a matcha, and that matcha thing wasn't for me.
Okay, everyone's talking about that. All the influencers are like, here's my matcha tea. And I'm like, that doesn't look appealing to me. I don't know. That doesn't look like something I'm going to try. So you didn't like it?
Didn't like it at all. However, a chai latte is where it's at. I love me a good chai latte. Big up my wife for putting me onto the chai lattes.
Right. I feel like I need to expand my palate because I'm such a creature of habit. I just drink the same thing. My husband is the one who's like, oh, try this and try that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm so basic. But I'm curious, where'd the name Faithchild come from?
Yes, I love that question. So I had chosen that name prior to my birth story. So, we have our plans and God has his plan, right?
Right.
And faith faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of the Lord. So you hear music. Romans 10:17. And then also, child, you must be as a childlike to enter heaven. So that was what I was going with when I chose the name. Now I'm a PK, and for those who don't know, PK is pastor's kid. There we go.
Here,
so being a pastor's kid, often the pastor would play Russian roulette with what child they're going to use for the illustration. And it just so happened that I was the chosen one that Wednesday was a Bible study. So my mum said that blah de blah de blah. So I was going to abort my lastborn, and I was thinking, this is interesting. Tell me more. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm the lastborn. What's going on here? So the story was that so she was going through a bit of a tough time with my dad, domestic violence, poverty, 4 children, and she was thinking, how can I cope and have another child? So when she got pregnant with me, she went to the doctor to have a conversation. And while she was in the clinic, God spoke to her for the first time, and he said, I want you to have this child. And my mom was like, Lord, honestly, like there's so much going on. And God said, believe, have faith in me, and I'll show myself to be God. So I was a faith child. So I use my story to inspire people, in which you might be a mistake in inverted commas, like I was a mistake, but our God never makes mistakes and has a plan for every single person. So now my name went from just being this cool thing that I tried to piece together to it being a testimony and something that I can really spread hope, life, and even the gospel with. Because whenever I go into non-Christian settings, whether it might be a school or TV on a mainstream platform, and they say, hey, what's the story behind your name? It's an opportunity to point people to Jesus.
Yeah. I love that you say that, because I think there'd definitely be someone watching now who maybe they know that their birth, or, wasn't exactly planned, and they maybe were, kind of an accident. And, sometimes I think if you know that subconsciously, if you're not careful, the enemy will use that to kind of, make you insecure. Like you found that out during a teaching, but if you already kind of grow up knowing, especially like you said, there's domestic violence and stuff like that, I think you could wonder, well, am I even supposed to be here? And then if you keep thinking that, and that keeps bogging you down, you're not really going to go and do everything God's called you to do. So I think you could be such an inspiration to someone who's like, okay, look at him. He's doing all of this, he seems happy, joyful. He doesn't seem like, he's got all this heaviness of that on him. So I think this could really inspire someone. And I know, so you're saying, you were a PK, so you grew up in a Christian household. But did you ever have moments like a prodigal son moment where you kind of fell off, or were you kind of always just, I mean, we're all flawed, but were you always a believer, or did you have moments where you walked away from the faith?
Yes, I was always a believer. I used to think I never had a testimony, because you'd often hear like, I was a drug dealer, I was doing this, and God called me home. You might hear the dramatic Saul to Paul story or testimony. And I remember that I did a rapper called The Truth. He's got a song, I think it's called My Story or My Testimony. And he basically said that he thought his testimony was less because he never had the whole thing. But something that I learned thereafter was that me being raised in the way of the Lord and not departing from it, as the scripture said, is a testimony. There's a testimony in that. And I'm sure there's many people, whether you might be a pastor's kid, or even if you aren't a pastor's kid, you just lived a so to say clean life, there's still a testimony in that. You don't have to go through trauma and disaster to find God. God can meet you in everywhere. So, and the truth is, I really have appreciated growing up in the church, and I really want every person, be it young or old, but ideally from a younger age, to find Jesus and find Christ, so they can avoid all the mistakes and all the trauma along the way, and have less baggage to leave at the altar. Right.
I'm curious, because you mentioned The Truth. What other artists, if any, inspired you or influenced you?
Yes, so from my early days and still to today, Kurt Franklin.
Yes.
Franklin is a major inspiration, because he was making, hopefully I can say, urban / contemporary gospel music when it wasn't popular and when it wasn't allowed. So for him to be able to still focus on what the Lord had called him to do despite the opposition is fantastic. And many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of musicians, Christian gospel artists, owe a lot of their career to Kurt Franklin for really being one of the trailblazers who really held that door open and kicked these doors down and made a path where there wasn't, so big up to Kurt Franklin, also Mary, who are phenomenal. Fun fact, I'm not sure how many Americans know this, but Shackles is one of the top 40 summer songs in the UK every year. And I mean like mainstream, like
no,
Shackles
I did not know
every
that.
year is top 40 songs, summer songs in the UK. It's played on mainstream radio every summer. Even in winter, sometimes you might just randomly hear it on the radio. When you're shopping in like H&M, Zara, you'll just hear Shackles. Like, it's really huge here in the UK. And I don't know how many Americans know that, but Shackles is huge here.
I had no idea, because like the song's like 25 years old. So
exactly.
I know on our Christian station back when I lived in South Carolina, they would play Shackles every day, because that was like really the only Black song, that and the BBC whining song. But no, not mainstream. I mean, not since 2000, really. Wow. I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your song.
Like, I think what happens is, when a song reaches a certain peak, it's just permanently playlisted as a classic. Now, this does
happen in America.
Song,
but not
so
a
once
gospel.
You have the staple songs, so
yeah, because that's in America. Well, really? And it was huge, obviously, here, but and it was a crossover success. But wow, playing on secular. Well, now I learned something new. And is that common with other songs, other gospel songs? Or is really Shackles the only one?
No, that is the only gospel song that has crossed over. I'm really trying to think if there's any others. Like, people know of Stomp and Revolution by Kirk, but other than that, in the mainstream sense, no other gospel song has ever done that. And that song, as you mentioned, is 20 plus years old. Big up Mary, man. Big up Mary.
So cool. I did not know that. So in America, hip hop is pretty huge. I mean, you could live in urban, suburban, rural area. It's national everywhere. Is it that way in UK? Like, is it really more of a culture thing? Like, oh, okay, you have to kind of live in the urban area, or will you hear hip hop anywhere, even in,
Yeah,
I mean, y'all don't have suburbs, but I guess what's comparable to there.
Sure, I understand. Yeah, hip hop is associated with like urban areas, like the capital, like London. And then when you now go to, if you now drive, okay, you might know Manchester United. So that's like Manchester's a 4-hour drive from London. Okay. And in Manchester, it's predominantly EDM. So Calvin Harris and David Guetta and all these big names. So they naturally gravitate towards EDM. However, anywhere you go, they would appreciate Eminem and Jay-Z. So people still appreciate hip hop and rap, despite whatever city you're in. And I think sometimes people tend to embrace rap or hip hop rap because they want to be cool. They want to be cool, associated with Black culture and culture, etc., and popular culture. Right. So you can't really escape hip hop because of figures like Kanye West or Travis Scott or whoever it is, who are these pop icons. Right. So no matter where you go, hip hop will always have its space. However, they might lean more towards EDM or whatever their flavor of the city might be.
And because and I was just curious, so that's kind of how it is in America too. Like, you may be someone who listens to country music predominantly, but you will know, you will have heard of Eminem. You would have, and you might play it. Yeah. So it's kind of permeated throughout. So I was just kind of curious of how that works in London. And with gospel hip hop in America, it's pretty niche. It's popular, but it's niche. Because like here, it's like Christian gospel is up here, and then like Christian hip hop is more of almost like a little subculture underneath it. Is it that way in London too, or is it?
So the contemporary Christian music would always be bigger because it's congregational.
Right.
So you'd always have like some of our biggest exports are Matt Redman. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, my soul.
Yeah.
So he's one of our biggest exports from the UK, as well as Martin Smith, who was in a band called Delirious. So those are some of our biggest exports from the UK. So that will always have its space. But many years ago, around like early 2000s to maybe 2013, urban Christian music was really dominating the Christian music space. So beyond the congregational stuff, the Christian hip hop was really dominating this space. And then with the introduction of Afro beats now, there was now a turn around 20, maybe 17-ish, where Afro gospel started creeping in and the diaspora started tapping into their roots and embracing their culture, and that now became more of a popular thing. So now Afrobeat / Afro swing / Afro gospel is now more sat at the forefront when it comes to the urban thing. But when it now comes to the general consumption, they're now back to what I would call worship, or what we might call CCM. Is now back at the forefront. So when you might typically have like an urban act closing out a night, you might maybe have like a worship leader closing out right now in the last couple of years. So yeah, urban music is still respected, but I feel like there's more of a shift towards the congregational style of music.
So I kind of want to go back, because you did your first album, if I'm not mistaken, 2009? So am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And so how did that come about? Like, I know you want to do hip hop for a long time. When did that really start to take shape, where it's like, okay, now I'm an artist, now I'm recording songs? How did that get started?
Yeah, it was funny. So as mentioned, it started via my church, but when I was doing it with my church, it wasn't even a hobby. I wouldn't even call it a hobby. It's just what we did.
Got it.
It's what we did. But then as the demand picked up, it then became apparent that, hey, you need to do this thing. So around 2000 and what year would this be? Maybe 2007, I think it might have been. I was on a collaborative song called Bibles. That song was in response to gun violence in the UK. So in the UK, we tend to adopt a lot of Caribbean culture. So whenever, for example, something good happens, we might say brap, which is like imitating the sound of a gun. Okay. And in the church, we're like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. So a good friend of mine called Andy, he came up with a song called Bibles, which was just in essence just a play on the term. And in response, we had a channel called Channel U, and I'm trying to think of a similarity. Maybe it might have been like 106 and Park, might have been like this similar comparison. So we submitted the music video, and you have to vote. There's like 8 videos or 8 or 10, and you vote. And we won with like 45% of the vote. So now we were now playlisted on this mainstream station, rapping about the Bible and rapping about God. So this became like a huge cultural thing in the UK, where it's like, who are these Christian rappers or MCs, rather? Because it wasn't really rap, it was garage. Who are these, or grime? Who are these grime Christian MCs? What's going on? So it was a huge cultural moment here for us in the UK. So as the demand kind of grew and grew, I just continued making music. And then it then became an album. Then I released it, and God has just done phenomenal stuff through that album. And I remember when I was making projects and music and my follow-up album, I was trying my best to top that album. And I just had an epiphany where it was like, stop trying to top the album, just focus on making good music. Because when I made the first album, I was just trying to make good music. I wasn't trying to top anything. So yeah, that was how the album first came about, Illumination. And I love that project, and I still get asked to perform some of those songs off it many, many, many years later.
Yeah. So you've been in this industry for a while. What is the biggest change you've seen? I mean, even though we're both young, you've been in there for we're the same age. I like
Yeah.
to say I'm still young. But you've seen some stuff. What's the biggest change you've noticed where you're like,
In the music space? Yeah. I would
or just
say
in your
that,
industry in general? Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we have probably a million times more artists now. Studio equipment is more accessible. You can go on Amazon and get a $50, $80 microphone and like a $100 sound card. You've already
Right.
got a laptop. You already have maybe GarageBand or Audacity or whatever music software, and you just record. So you no longer need to go to a $500,000 recording studio. You can now record in your bedroom and get it engineered. So that's something that I've seen become a big change in the industry. Also, when I started making music, you had to release your music on a physical CD. So which meant that you could only sell as much CDs as you printed. So if I printed 100 CDs, how would I even get 10 copies to South Carolina? How would I even get 10 copies to Arlington, Texas, you know? But with the introduction of digital streaming platforms, in a click of a button, I can send an MP3 to my DSP, and within a couple of hours, people in Sri Lanka, in America, in Malawi, in Malaysia, in Czech Republic can have access to the song. So one of the pros is that our music now is more accessible to the masses, which is a fantastic thing. It also does mean that there's probably an influx of not so great talent, if we're being honest. There's an influx of not so great talent. However, if you are pushing a message of hope,
Yeah.
we can support you. And I think, again, just noticing and acknowledging that you can't compare someone's level 1 to someone's level 10.
Right.
You have to allow people to grow and develop as time permits. But yeah, those are some of the changes that I've seen. And also like going viral. Someone like Forrest Frank, who has gone viral in the last maybe 24 months or so.
Right.
Is incredible because we had never seen popularity, stardom, fandom like that on that scale and so quickly. If we're going back to the Michael Jacksons, there was this kind of what's the word? Like you would never see Michael Jackson about, paparazzi will find him somewhere, but now you got like Twitter and Instagram where you can see someone on Insta Live without makeup in their natural state, and they're talking to you maybe if they're shopping in Walmart, and you're like, wait, what? You mean Michael Jackson shops in Walmart? So they've kind of taken away the stardom and the celebritydom of celebrities now, so to say, which I guess is probably a good thing, maybe, because you can now relate.
It's interesting, right?
And it allows you to connect directly to your audience, as opposed to having to do a press tour to promote what you're doing. In a click of a button, you can now share the information to your fans.
That's interesting that you say that, because here in the States, there's a show called Dancing with the Stars. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's kind of, I don't want to, I'm trying to be nice about how I always say, but basically it's interesting because you'll see these like TikTok stars or whatnot, and they're the ones getting the most votes. But then you'll have like an established actor who's like a legend, and they're voted off within the first couple of weeks. I'm like, what? So I do think that accessibility, when I think about growing up, your Denzel Washingtons, your Angelina Jolies, you're right. They weren't as accessible. You hope to see an interview with them, or maybe, a paparazzi photo. But now you can see them all the time. You could go on social media and you feel like you know them. And it is interesting because it makes me wonder, is this good, or is it bad, or, it's just different, I guess.
And I think something you highlighted there, which I saw a presenter talking about. I was watching an award show, one of the big award shows in the UK, and someone was complaining, saying, "Oh, why do you have these influencers hosting the show?" And the influencer who did it didn't do a terrible job. Like they weren't bad, but they're not presenters. They're people with a platform. Bingo. And a radio presenter commented saying, or responded to whoever did the tweet saying, "This is literally what I'm up against, in which I have the credentials. I'm on radio, But
Right.
the first thing they ask is, how many Instagram followers or TikTok followers
Right.
does this person have? And it's like, how on earth are actual seasoned presenters competing
Yeah.
against influencers who are brilliant at their thing,
Right.
but this might not be the best avenue for them. But I guess when it's down to business, it's a numbers game, right? It's a
Yeah. Well, and
numbers
I
game.
think
Fortunately,
um,
unfortunately.
I think it'll eventually work itself out because either you have the talent or you don't. So I think, yeah, you may be popular now because you have a million followers, but, and this is, I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but people can only see you clean your house so many times or pick out your outfits so many
Yeah.
times. Eventually, that's going to get old. So if you don't really have a talent or skill, you may not end up succeeding in that arena for much longer anyway. I think we've seen that where we've seen kind of influencers try to do music or something and then they kind of fall off because, and not to be mean, but that's not really
I
what they were
understand that.
probably called to do. And I think there's a
Sure.
difference between if you're someone who is really truly called to do something, it's like, oh, this platform kind of helped me, kind of boost me up. But I already had the talent and the skills and the grace for it. So that's cool. I think there's a difference between that and someone who's like, for a living, they show off their outfits and what they're eating and drinking. All of a sudden they get famous. And now it's like, oh, let's go into music or let's go into acting. I
Yeah,
think there's a difference because you weren't really, meant to do that, I guess.
I
But
understand. Yeah.
I guess it'll all kind of work itself out. But that is an interesting point, what you were saying. I am curious, along the way, was this kind of a seamless, your career? Was it pretty seamless or did you have moments of closed doors or just frustrations or even doubts like, oh, can I keep doing this any longer? Am I even supposed to be doing this? Like, can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think there are definitely people who are watching who are probably curious, who want to get into your industry.
Yeah. I think once I started hearing the testimonies back, I knew, yes, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And I think the closed doors have probably been more like, oh, I want to do this festival. I want to do this
Yeah.
conference. So that's probably the only closed door, so to say. I know sometimes there's brands that want to work with me and they love what I do. And then when we're having a conversation, or for example, some people find out about me via random things. So, for example, I've presented I've been featured on the BBC quite a lot. Every year I'm on the BBC a couple of times. So they might see me from a documentary or
Yeah.
something. Or maybe I might tag a brand on my Instagram story because I'm using their product, and then they're like, "Hey, let's work."
Yeah.
And then when the faith aspect comes in, they're like, "Oh, yeah, let's circle back on this later on." Because they realize, oh, this guy's a Christian and he's
Yeah.
leaning with his faith. And I don't mind losing opportunities because I'm a Christian. I genuinely
Yeah.
don't mind. Also, being a Christian, I also know how to make content applicable for the audience. I'm not
Right.
going to do an altar call whilst
Right.
I'm using cleaning products.
Right.
I'm not going to be doing that. But some organizations, they get a bit, oh my gosh, no, we can't do the religion thing. And I get it
Yeah.
from their point of view. I get it. But one thing I've learned from closing doors, I see every no as a not now.
Yeah.
Like, if you tell me no, you just told me not now. You haven't told me no. You said no, but I heard not now.
I
I
love
heard
that.
not now. I didn't hear no. And what I allow that to do is it just helps me sharpen my product, sharpen what I'm doing. I remember I wanted to perform at a festival and they for 2 years they said no, no. And then the third time around they're like, yes, let's go. And when I eventually performed at that festival, I realized that if I had done it the year before or 2 years previously, I would have bombed. Like it was clearly, it would have been clearly too premature. It would have been very premature if
Yeah.
I'd done it. And when I eventually did do it that year, by the grace of God, knocked it out the park, but also I then got booked for a couple of festivals off the back of that. And I've been touring in Europe for about 10 plus years because of that one festival, because I met a man there. I met a man there at that one festival, and I've been performing in Europe for 10 years. And the funny thing is, if I had done it 2 years, I would have bombed. If I had done it 1 year prior, I wouldn't have met him the year I did it because they've got a rule saying you can't perform 2 years in a row. So the year I did it was the perfect year because God just aligned everything to set me up for my future. So yeah, every time I hear a no, it's a not now. And I keep on knocking. I just see when someone says no, I see that as market research or as marketing, because if I hit up, I don't know, maybe Sony or Nikon or whatever brand there is, and they say no, they probably didn't know of me before, but now you know me. You didn't know me before, but now my name is in your office. So now you know I exist. So that's how my brain works when I hear no or there's a closed door. I just keep on working. And when they come hollering, the ball's in your court now, and you can do as you please.
I love that. And, you know, because you've been in the industry for a while, I'm sure you've seen a lot of people who trying to do what you do. Because I'm sure there's someone watching who's like, okay, I want to get in this industry and all that. What do you think is the one like quality that someone needs to have, or just one piece of advice for someone who wants to get in the industry that you could say, hey, you need to do this or don't do this? Because I've seen what happens when people do this. Either, you know, what's something you kind of tell someone who's like, okay, this is something I want to get into. You've been in here for a while. You've been doing this for a while. What's some advice you would give them?
I'm going to say a whole bunch of random things, yeah?
Yes, let's go.
One, get planted in your local church.
Good.
Get planted and serve in your local church.
Yes.
If you can't serve in your local church, there's no platform out there for you if you can't serve. The biggest platform is the smallest platform, and that is your local church. Go and serve in your local church. Be accountable to a leader, whether that might be your youth group leader or your small group leader or an elder in the church or someone. Get someone that you're accountable to. Another thing I would say is find a mentor in the industry, someone that's gone before you, and just be willing to serve, just to carry a bag. Hey, I'd love to come and serve and learn under you. I'll say that. Be a student of the game. Now, what I mean by this is, and some people might be a bit funny on this, I can't be not that I can't, but for me to be the best musician there is, I need to listen to all music. I need to listen to country, jazz, pop, rock, indie, etc. Now, filter who you're listening to now. I'm not saying go listen to these devil worshipping artists, etc. So do use wisdom. But I think to be a student of the game, study yourself approved, understand the times, you know. So that's what I'll say about the music front. Be authentic to who you are. If there's open mic nights, etc., go to the open mic nights, you know, go and sign up to deliver your stuff, whether it's a song, spoken word, rap, whatever it might be. Look for opportunities, be proactive. And another most important thing I would say is keep your trousers closed. Keep your trousers closed. Yeah. Purity. Because I have seen many musicians, men and women at the top of their game, and you hear like the craziest scandal, and it's like, oh man, like, yeah. So you need to have people around you who are not yes men. You need someone that can say, bro, sis, what you're doing, no, cut that out. You're a bit too suggestive or flirtatious with sister or brother this, because the opposite sex and the lust of the flesh will end your career quicker than anything else. Also, having great character. Yeah. You know, your talent will open many doors, but it's your character, you know, that will keep that door open. Be of good character and just be reliant as much as you can on the Holy Spirit. My career has only lasted touching 2 decades because of, one, the Lord's grace, primarily the Lord's grace. Period, the Lord's grace, actually. It's because of the grace of God. And then relationships have kept my career going. You know, having that relationship. I guess when you have done the circuit for many, many years, people know of you. They like what you do. You're tried and tested. He or she can deliver. Let's go there. But yeah, relationships are very good. But yeah, the grace of God will definitely trump hard work any day. Any day. any day. So yeah, be a student, purity, be accountable, and rely on the Holy Spirit. I'll say that in a nutshell.
I love that. Yes. I think the young people, especially, I think where we're going as a society, sometimes people don't quite want to touch on some of that stuff you said, but there's wisdom in that and keeping yourself. And like I said, we're all flawed. We may make mistakes, but be wise in how you handle yourself, how you carry yourself. Yeah. So that you're not getting caught up in things. Great. Yeah. For real. For real. But so you have your new album coming out when faith feels far. No, it's not coming out. It has come out. Came out August the 29th. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And I've been listening to it, and it's a great album. Can you, first of all, talk more about the album and where that name came from?
Yes. So in the last couple of years, there's been many faith shaking events, COVID being one, George Floyd being one, so many, whether it's in America or other parts of the world. America is everyone's big brother, so whatever happens in America kind of filters out to the rest of the world, the most powerful nation in the world. And I think during that season, so during COVID, I lost my dad, and many people lost people during that. And I think just the whole uncertainty of life really had people questioning things. From the outside looking in to America, it looked like as well people really trying to look into maybe like spiritualism and trying to figure out their roots, etc. So even here in the UK, you had people trying to go back to their ancestral worship, people that their ancestors worshipped, etc. And just the whole, deconstruction of their faith and whatnot, a lot of people are really shaky. And I felt like during that season, I wanted to speak into that. So when faith falls far is about wrestling and resting in God, wrestling and resting in God, and how the two can coexist at the same time. On the album, I got a song called Unbelief, which is from I think it's Mark 9:24, if I'm correct, when the young boy's dad is looking for healing, and it says, I do believe you can, but Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. And I really I wanted to write this album for Christians and also non-believers, but I really wanted to kind of touch on the Christians. Let's deal with inside first. Let's deal with the church first. Before we bring people into the church. If the church is messy and we bring people into a messy church, I don't know how healthy that would be for people trying to explore their faith. And, when, again, being a PK or being someone who's been a Christian for a long time, all the scriptures, all things work out for good of those who love the Lord and called according to his purpose. The pain we suffer now is nothing in comparison to the glory that's to come. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. By his stripes I am healed. All those scriptures, but it's not every day that we can see that scripture working in our favor. It's not every day we can feel that. Sometimes life is, why Eloi, Eloi, like, Christ on the cross, why have you forsaken me? Yeah. But also during those dark moments, you're reminded of, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. What does that mean? It means you will go through dark times, but God is with you every single step of the way. So with the album called When Faith Falls Far, it's a reminder that in the moments when God falls far from you, he's actually closer than you feel.
I love that. And so it's been 10 years since your last album, which is kind of hard to believe, but because time has flown. But you've already kind of talked about what this album is about. Is there anything really distinctively different or a different approach you took with this album than with your previous two? Other than what you've already kind of talked about.
Yeah. I think this album goes way more deeper than my previous projects. My earlier projects were more like, hey, let's have a party. Let's have a good time. It's like, I love being Christian. God is good. No problems over here kind of thing. That's the kind of vibe of it. But now the the subjects, the themes have a bit more substance. Not that there wasn't substance before,
Right,
but
right.
there's a bit more substance as we're getting now into the meat of Christianity. We're getting into the meat of life. So you got songs about, unbelief. You got songs about church hurt. You got
Yeah.
songs about grief, and it's a bit like, okay, we can all dance and have a good time, but my mate has just left the church and
Mhm.
he's been serving for 5 years. How do we talk into that? So I wanted to have more songs which could foster a safe space for conversations for Christians. For me, music is an icebreaker for a bigger conversation. So I wanted these songs to be able to create a safe space for people to talk from a space that they're at.
Awesome, awesome. What's your favorite song on the album? Just curious.
See, I knew this question was coming. I knew this question was coming. I don't know because I love them all. I
Yeah.
love them all. Also, performing the songs live is also different. So I might have to say, what song are we really enjoying doing live at the moment? That is really hard. Okay, I've been enjoying Oluwa is Involved. This is my first primary artist Afrobeat record. I'm Nigerian and we've been doing the song live, me and the band, and like it just feels so good to do live. We've also done Catfish live, which is incredible. We've done Holy Place live, which is incredible. We've done Wildfire live, which is incredible. So yeah, it's really is a mixed bag. I can't say unfortunately, but let me just say Holy Place. I'll say Holy
Okay.
Place. Yes,
Okay.
Holy Place is the one I'll say for now.
Okay. Okay. Is it like asking what your favorite child is? Like, because I've often heard
Yeah,
artists say that.
yeah. I
I
feel
can't
like
choose.
the truth is though, yeah, parents always have a favorite child. They just might not be vocal about it. It's often the most obedient child. It's often the favorite child.
My brother, he always would tell my dad, "Oh, I think you have a favorite." My parents both say, "We do not have favorite kids." But can I tell you, I have two kids? I'll be honest, I have no favorites.
You have
Honestly,
no.
no favorites. I used
Yeah,
to I
because
used to feel
yeah,
that before
because
I had
no,
kids.
no, 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 no. It's because they're gonna watch this back, and you want it to be PG friendly. You don't
No.
want no. You don't want Jacob and Esau in the house. You don't want Cain and Abel. You don't want no one to get slain. You're diplomatic. You're a
No,
politician.
can I be
You're a
wait,
politician.
can I be honest with you? Honest to God, because I used to think the same thing, like, oh, everyone always has a favorite child. Honestly, I have no favorite. But I will tell you, you do have a child that you will probably like sometimes more than the others sometimes. So that is true. There are
Mm.
moments where one of them annoys me a little bit more than the other, and it switches. But honest to God, I have no favorites. I love them both in just different ways. It's weird. Maybe because they're both
Different
different
ways,
genders.
and sometimes some child has 17 ways you love them, and the other has 4 ways that you love them.
This feels personal. No, but no, honest God, I used to think that before I had kids or when I had just one child, I would think everyone has you gotta have to have a favorite. But no, no favorites, honestly. If your parents tell you they don't have a favorite, I guarantee you they probably really don't have a favorite. Seriously.
Praise the Lord.
No, no
Praise.
favorites. It's hard to explain it if you don't have children yet. It's hard to explain how that is. Because I think the way we live our lives subconsciously, we do kind of have people they're favorites, right? Some people we like more than others. So I think we would do that with our own child. But honestly, no favorites. You will have one though that maybe you like more, that maybe you're disappointed with sometimes a little bit more, annoyed with. But and they all kind of I say y'all both kind of sometimes do things that annoy me. It just switches off. I noticed you have on your album, you have your songs that are more upbeat and stuff, but you have ones that are a little bit deeper, like Good Morning with the
Yeah.
MOURNING. You talked about that a little bit earlier. Can you, if you're
Yeah.
comfortable with that, I don't want to
Yeah,
bring the mood
sure.
down, but can you talk more
No,
about
no, no,
that?
no, no.
And then Church Hurt too. I saw the
Sure.
intermission for that, but you can go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with Good Morning, so that was off the back of my dad's passing. So when we got the news that my dad was in hospital on life support, about maybe 2 days later, I just started writing my thoughts down. And that became verse 1 of that song. And after I wrote that verse, I just left the song. I just didn't know what to do. I just thought, I've written my thoughts down. Here it is. And then when he passed now, maybe about a couple weeks later or a month, I don't remember the timeline, I then wrote verse 2. And big up the truth again, I've mentioned him a second time now. He said in a song or an interview, it might have been a song, death is the friend of a righteous man going home. Death is the friend of a righteous man going home. Now, for a Christian, we sing songs like, your presence is heaven to me. You know, we sing songs about heaven, but there's only two ways to go to heaven, either via death or via the rapture that never happened in September. You know,
oh, stop.
There's only two ways.
The crazy videos. Did you see the lady about the dog? And I guess she wants someone to take her dog while she went on the rapture.
There's so much
weirdness about that. I'm like, y'all must forgot the part about we won't know the
time or the day, you know. So,
or you could be like what Elijah but really you're right. Those are your ways, you know. So
but those are the only ways in that we're going to get to heaven. And with knowing that actually, despite like my dad is gone, he's at peace. He's at rest. He died a believer. What more do we want? And I think in essence, it's very normal to want someone to live forever, you know, because of the memories and the moments. That's a very human thing. But I think also when you remember that someone passed in Christ, you mourn different, you know. So that's why it's good mourning, a good way to mourn, in which it's like, you know what? I'm mourning because I've lost them, but I'm also rejoicing in this mourning because they're now at rest and they're now at the bosom of the Savior. You know, so that's how we're able to mourn in a good way, because someone has passed in the Lord. And I think, you know, there's no greater way to pass than in the Lord. Yes, there can be tragic experiences, yes. Right. But the fact that someone has now gone to be with the Lord, they're at peace. No more bills, no more tax, none of that, none of the IRS on your tail, none of that stuff. You know, you're all good. So that's good mourning. And church hurt. I think, there was so much in the last couple of years, you know, church scandals. There's always a new one popping up every maybe a major one, maybe every 8 to 12 months. There might be a new one. And that stuff really does shake people's faith. So I wanted to kind of speak into that. I think I didn't want to act as if this doesn't exist and it's not happening. I think when it comes to, you know, when faith falls far, it's like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Like this was happening in the local church. You know, can I ever trust the church again? Oh, I'm leaving God because of this. And it's like, no, the God and the church are not the same thing. God and the church are not the same thing. Like the church is the people, you know, the gathering. And yes, I do see how leaders are seen as an extension or representative of God. So I do see why people have a bad experience with a church or a leader and say, forget the God thing. I do understand that. And I wanted to speak into that and say, you know what? I see what's going on there. And then also to apologize. You know, a lot of people haven't heard an apology from this. You know, a lot of people haven't heard an apology. And although I'm not the perpetrator, you know, but I feel like every person that has an issue, period, they just want to be heard. Right. They just want to be heard. You know, so someone hearing a song and said, oh my gosh, this guy's apologizing. He hears me. I feel seen. This can start by God's grace, someone's journey to healing. And that's just really what it is. Just to say, wow, finally someone that gets it. And again, I'm not the only one that gets it, but sometimes the loudest voices aren't always the sound voices. You know, so sometimes you might hear someone saying, oh, this and that, but they're still not hearing an apology. They're still not hearing sorry. I wanted to create an environment and say, you know what? This is happening. And from a brother to a brother or brother to a sister, I sincerely apologize. This has happened. How can we start the healing process?
I want to talk about your collaborations. I know on this album, you collaborate with many people, including Erica Campbell. We just talked about from Mary Mary. Can you talk about that collaboration in particular, or in any of your collaborations?
Yeah, that one blows my mind every time I talk about it, because it's like, what do you mean I have a song with Erica Campbell from the Mary Mary? Like, this guy from South London? What on earth? I'm like, Erica doesn't have that many collabs, by the way, as well.
Right,
Like,
right.
she doesn't just be collabing like any.
No.
So she came to the UK. I used to present and produce one of the biggest urban Christian shows in Europe. Well, Christian urban music shows in Europe called Uprise. And whenever artists from any country were doing their press run, they would always have to pass through the TV station for an interview with me. So she was here in the UK maybe 10 years ago now. And we got introduced, and they said, oh, this is Faithchild. He's a Mobile Award-winning artist, blah, 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 blah. And she said to me, oh, why didn't you get me on your album? I said, first of all, I ain't got no Mary budget. I ain't got no Mary budget.
Right.
So how would I even have asked you for a collab? And I know she was playing with me, by the way.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I follow you on Twitter. She should have just DM'd me. If you need anything, let me know. So anyway, I interviewed her on the show, whatever. And then about maybe 18 months later, I was going to Dallas for a show. And I DM'd her saying, hey, just let you know, I know you live in LA or California. Just let you know that I'm going to be in Dallas. And she said, oh, I'm in Dallas. Come by and let's hang out. So I went to the radio station where she was doing her show from that week. We hung out for like an hour and a half or so. And she said, hey, if you need anything, let me know. That's the second time she said that. And I'm thinking, don't be a fanboy. Do not ask for a verse. Like, just respect yourself. Respect yourself. Just keep it moving. So anyway, now, a couple of years later, I was in the studio, I wrote the song, and I said, you know what? I think Erica would be brilliant on this. Let me just send it. If she says no, I haven't lost anything because she was never on the song anyway.
Right.
So I sent it to her, and she said, oh, snap, I like this. Let's hop on a video call. So I'm on a video call, her, myself, and her husband, Warren Campbell. We're talking. And then months down the line, the song gets done. And let me say, one, she was chasing me to finish off the song. And secondly, she didn't even charge me a penny. She didn't charge me a penny, a cent, or a dime, which would be expected. Like, she has been like just the most sweetest person ever. And even till today, if you go on her social media, every Friday she's promoting the latest Christian releases. She calls it Support
I've seen
Kingdom.
that a couple of times.
And
yes.
I love that. Like,
Yes.
she's just giving back to the Christian music community, which, not that she doesn't have to do. I think we do have a responsibility to encourage and support.
Right.
But on that scale, every week, so yeah, she's such a wonderful human being.
Awesome. Well, I want to segue a little bit into your personal life because I know you've been married for 3 years now?
3 years.
Congratulations. So you're still kind of in that newlywed stage. What is it like? Because, you've been in this industry for so long. You've been doing it by yourself. What is it like now with having a wife? Is there adjustments that need to be made? Because you're probably used to like, oh, okay, I'll just go ahead and do this. I'll just go ahead and, you're not probably used to having to have another person to say, hey, I'm going to be in this country, or what do you think of this? Have you had any adjustments to make with that? Like, what's it been like with marriage?
It's been great being married. My wife, she hears everything first. I have to apologize to her because she hears me like writing the songs in the shower. She hears me rapping all over the house. She's heard a song like 1,000 times before it gets on any streaming platform. But it's been brilliant. Like, she's never restricted me in any sense. I think the key thing about being someone that travels frequently is being intentional with the moments that we have together and with my itinerary, and be like, hey babe, this is coming up. I remember last year a tour came up in Europe, and the tour on the Thursday, it was her birthday. And I told my tour manager, I was like, no, I'm not doing that tour. And he was like, no, please, can you do that tour? I said, that's my wife's birthday. So I told my wife, and she was like, oh, babe, it's fine, you can do the tour. And I was like, nah. So I'm my tour manager. I said to my tour manager, I'm only doing the tour if you cancel the date on June 13 so I can celebrate my wife's birthday. So he moved the date, like he canceled it and changed everything so that I could have my wife's birthday. And I remember I was in Slovakia that week and that day, I finished like a meet and greet I was doing early, and I hired a car and I drove 2 hours to Budapest in Hungary. So I flew my wife from London to Budapest, met her at the airport, celebrated her birthday for like a day, well, a couple hours. Then in the morning around 3 a.m., I drove back to go and finish the tour. She enjoyed a spa in the morning and then flew back to London. And I feel like it's just about just seeing how we can make it work for us. I was willing to not do the tour, but she said, no, babe, go and do your thing. And I think like for someone that's in business, ministry, anything that requires your time and your attention, even if you're just doing a regular 9 to 5, but something that's demanding, you really do need a spouse that is supportive and understands what you're doing. And I think it works two ways though, because if I'm not being intentional and I'm not being present, no amount of my wife saying, go and do this, it wouldn't work like that. Right. But because I am intentional, even when I'm abroad, we're in different time zones, we're literally talking all the time. Hey babe, I'm at the airport. Hey babe, I've checked in. Hey babe, I've just landed. Hey babe, I'm in a hotel. Hey babe, XYZ. Oh babe, look at this. Oh, we're constantly in communication. So it doesn't actually feel like we're apart because we're constantly talking. And I think that's a healthy thing to do. Yeah. When you're living such a fast-paced schedule.
Definitely. Well, before I end this, I can't believe, oh my gosh, it's so much time.
I've been enjoying this.
Me too. I cannot believe how long this has been. Oh my gosh, it feels like it was only 10 minutes. But before I end this, I wanted to ask, what do you have coming up? Do you have any tours or performances or any other projects? I know you have your album, but anything else on the horizon?
Yes. So, I'm back on the road. Well, I'm always on the road, to be honest. I'm back in Europe. I've got about 4 dates in Czech Republic. I've got a couple of dates up and down the UK. And then in January, we're off to Ghana to do a couple shows in Ghana. I love that. And then we might potentially go next door to Nigeria, which I'm from, and see what we do there. And I'm just always working on different stuff behind the scenes, praying for God to kind of make all the lines fall in place. So anyone listening, keep me in prayers, man. I just really want to just have opportunities to point people towards Jesus. And that's really it. Yeah. I love being the hands and feet of Jesus, whether that's me helping a lady with her suitcase in a train station up the stairs, or paying for someone's shopping, or offering my seat on the train to somebody. Any opportunity for someone at the end of the day to say, oh, I was so tired, but God sent me an angel today. Thank you, God. I was so tired and I was saying, God, I need help. And God sent this person to help me. Just so someone can say like, oh, God heard my prayer today. Yeah. I just want to be able to be a vessel so someone can say, because when we pray to God, God isn't going to physically come down and answer the prayer. He's going to use his creation to answer the prayer. So he's going to send a helper. He's going to send someone. If you're praying for a job, he's going to have a recruiter or HR send you an offer letter. He's going to use creation to answer that prayer. Right. So I always pray, God, I want to be your hands and feet. How can I serve you today? How can I be a blessing to somebody so someone can say, oh, God heard my prayer. So that's my heart. I just want to serve, whether it's on stage, off stage, behind the scenes. I just want to point people towards Jesus.
I don't think there's any better way to end it than with what he just said. Well, we will definitely make sure that we have all of your contact info and websites and all that listed in the ending credits. So you guys, if you're watching, stay tuned. We'll have all of that listed. But thank you so much, Faithchild, for joining me. I'm so honored, and thank you for dealing with me as I battle whatever this is. I feel like my voice isn't like it normally is and my energy level, but I was like, I'm pressing through. I was going to cancel, and I was like, nope, I'm not canceling. Not Faithchild.
I just want to say, like, you have been absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't tell
you so
the difference.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm going to say it. Favorite conversation of the whole year. Favorite conversation of the whole year. And I'm not playing with you. I'm being dead serious. It feels like we've been friends forever. It's like just two friends.
Yes, you're very approachable. Yeah, I feel like I've known you.
You know what? That's what the gospel does. It makes
Yes.
strangers family. It makes
That's
strangers
it.
family. So,
Oh my
yes, I
God.
want to say in closing, keep on supporting Inspire with Keri.
Oh, thank
Listen
you.
back to all the episodes. Keep on sharing, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. Because there's no place to be other than right here with Inspire with Keri.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. All right, you all have a great day. Bye.